So this whole thing got started when I was kind of winding down on my national parks trip. And I'm sitting in El Paso, Texas, eating at a fast food restaurant and just sitting there on the street looking. And right across the street, I could see Mexico. I could see the border. And I can see, when you're sitting there at the border, the other side just looks very different. They build a lot more on hills than we do on the US side. And when you're just looking over there, you can just tell, like, that's Mexico. And I'm sitting there looking at it, and my dream and my goal was to finish this trip and just head to South America. But the problem was my bike's not paid off. It wasn't paid off. It still isn't paid off. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to get a vehicle permit to be allowed to ride my motorcycle into Mexico. And I'm looking over at the other side of the border thinking, like, I should be taking a left here. I should be going south. I should be heading through Mexico and on my way to South America, but it just wasn't an option. And so I came back to Arizona, and over the next few days, as I made my way back to Phoenix to kind of hit the reset button, the wheels are just turning, and I'm trying to figure out, how can I make this happen, or what can I do? What's the next step for me? And I had heard that you didn't need a vehicle permit to get into Baja. So I thought, well, this might be the answer. This might be the next frontier for me. It's a way for me to kind of get my feet wet, travel a little bit in Mexico, at least kind of satiate that need to go beyond my comfort zone. And started developing this idea. I looked into it a little bit. I definitely didn't need permits, so I was good to go. I could ride down to Mexico, and I figured, well, I got to find something to do for the winter, so I'll ride down to La Paz. I'll rent an apartment for about a month, see how it goes, and just feel it out. I left on a Tuesday night, and I get to the border the next day. I get my insurance, changed some money over, and I'm looking at the border, just standing there watching the cars go through, trying to figure out, what exactly are they going to ask me, and just trying to get a lay of the land. So I got on the bike and pulled in front of all the trucks, and I rode right through. It was super easy. They pulled me over real quick and asked me a couple of questions, just basic, what are you carrying with you, where are you going, et cetera, et cetera. And the next thing you know, I'm in Tecate, and it was really, really cool. It was exciting. I was still a little bit nervous. The traffic was different. And then I took a gorgeous ride through the wine country, which was so shocking to me. I was anticipating a lot of desert landscape, a lot of bland, kind of boring scenery. And this reminded me so much of Northern California. Got to Ensenada, and I hung out a little bit downtown. I got some churros, checked out a few things in the area, and then I went and got a hotel. I woke up the next morning and the hotel happened to be very close to the water. So I took a little walk down and I saw the ocean first thing in the morning. It was gorgeous. It was just, I felt like I had arrived. I was on the adventure I was looking for. So I had a little breakfast. I took a ride through more beautiful scenery. There's more wine country heading down further south from Ensenada, and it's all just gorgeous. Next day I woke up to more wind. This was one thing I definitely wasn't anticipating, so much wind. I'm used to it crossing from Phoenix to California, going across the Anza Borrego and the Mojave Desert. It's just always so windy there, so I'm kind of used to it, but I wasn't anticipating so much of that down here, and it was really beating the crap out of me on this day. There's a really long stretch with no gas, so I actually had to buy gas out of the back of a truck, which was a pretty cool experience. That was kind of neat, and I got a kick out of it. I had heard from other people that I had met down on my way down that, you know, the gas was safe, it was clean, you didn't need a filter or anything, and it would be good to go. From there I rode down to Baja Los Angeles, and it's a beautiful ride down towards the coast. You start up on a hill and you're just coming down and you see this beautiful ocean view in front of you. It's a nice twisty road. It's a cool little fishing village. From Baja Los Angeles, I continued south for a few more hours and I crossed into the state of Baja California Sur. And I stayed in a town called Guerrero Negro, which I had heard would be good for whale watching. And this was kind of the season where they were starting to have babies before they migrate up to Alaska. And I had a really good chance of seeing some pretty active whales, maybe some babies. So I decided in Guerrero Negro I would stay 2 nights and I would book a whale watching tour, and it was so much fun. We got so close to the whales. It was just a blast. After leaving Guerrero Negro, I got down to a town called San Ignacio. It's just this really cool little town, kind of a desert oasis, because you're riding through this barren landscape, and then all of a sudden there's like these lush palm trees and water, and it's really beautiful. And in the center of this town is Misin San Ignacio. Really cool. It was one of the first missions I saw on the trip. It's just a very cool thing to see, and part of the culture down there, and it was fun learning about that. From San Ignacio, I took a beautiful sunset ride. I was pushing it a little close, and I didn't want to be riding at night, but I was so fortunate that I got to catch the sunset coming through this mountain pass. Absolutely beautiful, into a town called Santa Rosalia. And I stayed there for a night. Next morning in Santa Rosalia, there is a mission called Misin Santa Rosalia, and I got to check that out a little bit. That was pretty neat. It was not one of the most impressive missions, but it was still cool to see. A little bit further south from there is Mulegé. In the town of Mulegé, there is a mission which was actually closed when I was there, but I was able to see the outside of it, and it was pretty awesome. I was kind of disappointed I didn't get to go in and walk around because the outside just looked so cool. That really quintessential mission that you would expect to see in Baja. And a little bit further south from there, I stopped at a beach called Playa El Represón. And after I left there, I took a ride to Laredo, which ended up being one of my favorite towns on this ride. I spent a couple days there and unfortunately didn't do too much filming because I was just so immersed in the experience and the environment and the food and walking around and shopping and all of that. Just outside of Laredo is Misin San Javier, and this is the oldest and most iconic mission in Baja. For sure, if you're only going to see one mission, this is the most important one to see because of its history. And it is super, super impressive. In a beautiful town, the ride out there is awesome. You got to watch out for the arroyos, which are kind of these dips with water in them. They get really slick if they're wet. But it's a beautiful, twisty ride out there. And this mission is in this valley, just surrounded by these gorgeous mountains. And it's just this like iconic mission right in the middle of it at the end of a cobblestone street. And it's really, really cool. From there, I ended up just riding down to La Paz, and like I said, I ended up staying in La Paz for a little more than a month. I rented an awesome little apartment with a balcony. It was super cool, and I really enjoyed my time in La Paz. The food's delicious. Everything was just great. The people are awesome. I got a lot of time to practice my Spanish, walk around, check out the markets, the Malecon, Playa Balandra, and there's just so much to see down there. La Paz is an awesome city. I cannot wait to get back. Like I said, it was just an awesome adventure, and I'm so grateful I got to go down there, and I met so many cool people on the way. And down in La Paz, just really, really nice people down there. It was a great experience. It's unfortunate that it got cut short, but it's all part of the adventure. You know, you can't plan for everything. So anyways, that's it for me today. I hope you guys got something out of this little story about my trip down to Baja. It was an absolute blast. So I hope you guys get something out of this video, and I'll talk to you very soon.